Hey everyone, Nathan Courier here, and I'm here to help you with the overview of the book of Hebrews. Going into the book of Hebrews itself can be a little bit of a daunting task, especially if you've read through it before. Sometimes it's like, this doesn't make sense. What are they talking about? Who is this guy? And maybe you've read part of the scripture where you're like, I think it's too late for me because I'm done for. Have I sacrificed and killed Jesus twice over now? And so we'll get into more of that as we get into the chapter by chapter breakdown. But I want to give it just a brief overview of understanding how we approach the book of Hebrews. And really, this is how we should approach any book of the Bible: is being able to come from a place of understanding who is the original audience, who is this meant for? Because sometimes what we do is we take modern day thinking and we place it upon the way that they thought and did life 2,000 years ago. With cultures that are completely different, right? You go anywhere around the world, the culture is a little bit different than where you currently live. And so it's important to understand the original audience. Now, for the book of Hebrews, the original audience was a group of believers. Some would probably even claim that they were mature believers because they would have known the scripture very well, and that's why Hebrews uses so much Old Testament scripture in it, is to basically draw out, hey, look, you guys know what this is talking about. You know these scriptures. And now, look, Jesus is actually the fulfillment of those very scriptures. And that's kind of the breakdown of it, because the author of Hebrews is essentially writing to these believers to say, hey, wake up. You're growing complacent in your faith. You're not really seeking to learn more or grow more. You're just kind of remaining stagnant, and that's not good. In fact, that can bring you in danger of not inheriting the salvation. And so that's why as we go through the book of Hebrews, we see the author, right, bringing forth Old Testament scriptures of where Jesus is being fulfilled. He reminds them of what God has done for them in some of these scriptures, right, getting us to stir up our minds to be like, hey, remember what God did? Like, he can do it again. He can do even more. What else will he do if we continue to remain faithful to him? He strongly warns them of the dangers of not reigniting their fire for God. And he even inspires them by letting them know that those that were faithful in serving the saints, that, hey, God is able to restore you back. If you found yourself complacent, it's not too late for you. God is so faithful and so merciful, and he disciplines those that he loves, right? And so we see this all throughout the book of Hebrews. And so this is just kind of that brief overview, understanding when we read it, we have to understand really the Old Testament. And so if you get caught up or hung up on things, you might have to do a little digging and searching as to what was originally talked about in the Old Testament. If you don't know people like Abraham or Melchizedek, things like that, it can be a little confusing, but doing a little bit of research will help. But follow along as we continue to go through the remainder of the chapters of the book of Hebrews with a chapter by chapter breakdown and reading, and hopefully it'll help you grow in your understanding. So look forward to the next one.